All right, let's talk about a massive shift happening in software development. This is coming straight from the main stage at the AI Code 2025 Summit. And honestly, it's an idea that could completely rewrite what it even means to be an engineer. And it all kicks off with this just wow. This bombshell quote from Steve Yegge. Now, look, this is obviously designed to be provocative, to get a reaction, but it perfectly sets the stage for a revolution that, believe it or not, is already happening. I know, it sounds like a wild exaggeration, right? But the arguments we saw at the summit were, well, they were pretty convincing. So, what if this isn't just a hot take for attention? What if he's actually describing our inevitable future? Let's really dig into why this might be way closer to the truth than you think. So, the core idea here is that 2026 is going to be the year the IDE, the integrated development environment, the digital workbench we've all lived in for decades, just becomes obsolete. But this isn't just about swapping out our tools. It's about fundamentally changing how we think, how we create, and where we find our value as people who build things. Yeg explained this with a really powerful analogy. He said today's AI coding assistants, tools like Claude Code, they're like a power drill. They're incredible. They make a skilled person way faster, but you still need to know what you're doing, and you can still mess things up badly. The future, he says, isn't a better drill. It's a CNC machine. It's an autonomous system where you feed it a high-level plan, and it just executes. You're not the craftsperson anymore, you're the director. And this is not some future fantasy. At companies like OpenAI, they're already seeing this incredible productivity gap open up. We're talking about a 10x difference between engineers who are embracing these AI agents and those who aren't. That's so massive, it's causing organizational chaos. I mean, how do you even hire or promote or structure a team when one person is literally an order of magnitude more effective than another? This isn't just an efficiency boost, it's a whole new ballgame that's going to force everyone to adopt. So, what do you even call this new way of working? This shift from typing code to just defining your intent? Well, the term that really stuck at the summit was vibe coding. And what's so important about this definition, which comes from Anthropic's CEO, is the word conversation. This isn't about writing the perfect prompt one time. It's about an iterative dialogue. It's a back and forth where you, as the director, guide the AI toward the outcome you want. It's a partnership, a feedback loop. It's not a command line. Then researcher Gene Kim gave us this awesome acronym, FOFO, to really get at why this is so powerful. Yep, of course it's faster, but that's actually the most boring part. It lets us be more ambitious. That project that seemed impossible, now it's a weekend hack. It lets us work alone more, cutting through all the red tape and meetings. And honestly, it's really, really fun, like addictively fun. It brings back that spark of just creating something cool. And finally, it gives us optionality, the power to try out 10 different ideas at once and see what works, which means we can innovate at a crazy speed. So this new approach requires a totally new identity for developers. Seriously, the days where you were valued because you could type fast or because you memorized an entire library's syntax, those days are numbered. It's a fundamental shift from being a typist to being a director. Just look at the difference. The old way, the typist, was all about crafting code line by line, hunting for bugs in your own work, being a master of syntax. The new way, the director, is about defining the vibe, the goal, the constraints. Instead of hunting for bugs, you're reviewing fully formed AI-generated solutions. Your skill isn't syntax anymore, it's clarity. It's your deep understanding of what the system is supposed to do. There was this line from the opening poem at the summit that just captured this feeling perfectly. You're not just giving a machine precise commands anymore. You're guiding an intelligent system that you have to trust. You're rearranging the pieces, setting the direction, and having faith that the agent can get it done. And that means your value just moves way up the stack. Your main job becomes validation, not creating from scratch. You become the ultimate judge of quality, the final checkpoint, the person who holds the vision. The machine takes care of the how while you define the what and, most importantly, the why. Okay, so if the role of the individual developer is changing this drastically, what on earth does that do to our teams? Well, pretty much what you'd expect. It blows them up and rebuilds them completely from the ground up. Yeah, forget your standard 8-person Scrum team. The new ideal size, the new unit of work, is what they're calling a hyper-efficient pod. We're talking 3 to 5 people, maybe a product visionary, a domain expert, and a couple of these new AI directors. A tiny group like that can now accomplish what used to take a whole department.
And with this new kind of team, so much of the ceremony and the meetings we all kind of dread just evaporates. Those long bug triage meetings? Gone. Writing up super detailed technical spec docs? Nope, replaced by a high-level plan. Arguing about tabs versus spaces? The AI handles it consistently every time. The cost of just coordinating with other people absolutely plummets.
So how does this work technically? Yagi's diver metaphor explains it beautifully. Think of an AI's context window, its short-term memory, as an oxygen tank. It's a finite resource. The old way is to send one giant diver, one huge AI agent, to try and fix a bug in a massive codebase. It's totally inefficient, it runs out of oxygen almost immediately. The smart way, the new way, is to send a coordinated dive team. You send a tiny subagent to find the problem, another one to write the code, and a third one to test the fix. Each one has just enough oxygen for its specific job. That right there is subagent orchestration.
So, in this new world where you're directing these agents instead of typing code yourself, there is one skill that rises above everything else. And it's not a soft skill anymore, it is the single most important technical requirement you can possibly have. That's it, your ability to communicate what you want clearly, without ambiguity, with all the necessary context. That's what will separate the great engineers from the merely good ones. The quality of the code you get out is a direct reflection of the quality of the instructions you put in. If you're vague, you're going to get a mess. If you are crystal clear, you will get magic. Now, the team at Replit pointed out a huge challenge here, something they call the painted doors problem. An AI might generate a beautiful user interface, but when you go to click the buttons, nothing happens. They look real, but they're just painted on. This happens because the AI doesn't have that real-world feedback loop. So the solution, you guessed it, more agents. Autonomous testing agents that act like a real user, clicking every button, filling out every form, and verifying that it all actually works. Of course, none of this works if you don't trust the tools. And as Gene Kim pointed out, trust isn't something you can just decide to have. Research from Google's Dora team shows a super clear correlation. The more time you spend actually working with these agents, the more you trust them. You start to learn their quirks, you figure out their strengths, and you get good at predicting how they'll behave. It just takes practice. So look, this change is coming, and it's coming really fast. But the final message from the summit wasn't about being scared. It was about being prepared. So how do you actually get ready for this future, starting right now? Well, they gave us a really tangible plan, a 6-week sprint. For the first 2 weeks, force yourself to use an AI agent for all the little things you'd normally do in your IDE. Just stay out of the code. Then, for weeks 3 and 4, level up. Focus on writing high-level plans. Practice defining the what, not the how. And in the final 2 weeks, try to delegate an entire feature to an agent, from the initial idea all the way to the pull request. You act only as the reviewer. This is how you build that vibe coding muscle. And all of this leaves us with one final question. It's the question that every single developer, every manager, every tech leader needs to be asking themselves right now. A huge split is happening in our industry. They're calling it the Great Bifurcation. The tools are changing, the jobs are changing. So which side are you on? Are you going to be a typist, clinging to the old way of doing things? Or are you going to be a director, orchestrating this incredible new way of creating? The choice is yours.